To illuminate the often unseen mental health challenges faced by first responders, police officers, firefighters, paramedics, and 911 dispatchers by sharing their stories, fostering understanding, and promoting resources for support and healing. We aim to break down the stigma, advocate for improved mental health services within the first responder community, and inspire hope and resilience. Welcome to The Weight We Carry. I'm Bart Keeney. What's going on, babe?
Hey, babe. How are you?
Awesome. It's pretty cool. Been doing a lot of talking about it and a lot of preparation.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see where this takes us. I mean, just over the past 2 weeks of us talking about it, the word of this podcast has spread tremendously.
Spread like wildfire.
It just shows how great this public safety family is and how much everyone cares about each other. And
yeah, it's a tough job, and you know all too well. You know what I mean? I know what your background is, and that's what I want to do here is sort of introduce everyone to us, our dynamic, how you came up in public safety, and how I started public safety later on in life. So I think this is a good starting point. Let everyone see who we are.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, what do you want to talk about here?
Well, I mean, I started a little bit earlier than you in public safety.
Yep.
In 10th grade, I went to Votech School for public safety where we learned police, fire, EMS. Nobody in my family is public safety, but my older brother started 2 years before me, and I wanted to follow in his footsteps, so he's really what got me going. But I was very young. I mean, I was a firefighter at 14, I think, 15. Took EMT class when I was 15, took my practical when I was 15, and then you have to take your written at 16, and my 16th birthday, I'm pretty sure went that week, and took my written, and that was history. Yeah, it started pretty early. It's pretty wild that you can be on an ambulance that young. I think at one point I wasn't even old enough to drive. I was getting dropped off at the station just to hang out because.
And that's crazy. That's crazy. Well, I think we have a lot to talk about. I think we do. I know we both know what we've been through, you know. So just so everyone else can figure out who I am and what I've done, and then we'll pass it along to you and ask me questions too.
Yeah.
You know, just so we can keep this going along. So, you know, I didn't start EMS until I think I was 30. I went to EMT class, had some awesome teachers and instructors, met a ton of cool people over the years. I found my place after doing a quick stint doing as a wheelchair van driver. I got that up. But I found my place as a full-time EMT rescue technician, did it for nearly 12 years. And then the natural progression after I got out of that, and we went to the dispatch. And that's what I'm continue doing to this day.
We kind of really owe public safety for us meeting too. We ran some calls together without really even knowing.
Yeah, we did.
And then my brother dragged me to a public safety party, and that's where I met you, and we didn't stop hanging out since.
Heck yeah. It's been the best, almost 13 years.
You married, yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic. I couldn't have had a better person.
Thanks, babe. Me too.
You're my best friend.
Thank you.
So let's learn a little bit more about you.
Like I said, I started in public safety really young. I was a firefighter 1 for about, I think, 11 years. And then when I got pregnant with our son, and that's when I stopped public safety. Unfortunately, I miss it. I worked in the hospital after on a neurosurgery floor. It was definitely stressful. I missed the emergency sense of it, but it still kept me in that patient care. I'm now fully out of healthcare, and while I miss it, I think I did my time more than half my life in healthcare. So yeah.
Anything that really stuck with you?
I kind of thought I was invincible when I was young.
Didn't we all?
Yeah, I had some pretty bad calls. I remember one really bad call, but I also remember a medic pulling me back and saying, "Not yet. You don't need to see this yet." But no, I thought it was a little bit different. Like, of course, I felt for those patients, and calls were sad and made you upset, but nothing really ever stuck with me until later in life.
Yeah. I think that's kind of what happened with me. I got through my first 4 or 5 years, and we had a bunch of bad calls, specifically with kids. Those are always the tough ones. But there was a vehicle crash for me, and there was a fire and a fatality. And after that incident, I nearly hung it up.
Yeah, we talked about that one a lot.
It was tough. That was one of those tough ones. It was all over the news. But I remember going back after like the fire department got there, we debriefed, and my supervisor, he's like, well, that's the state police. They want us to come and extricate the deceased. And I was like, man, wow, we got to do this. But we did it. And it was tough. It was tough. There's that incident. And then I think all that stuff, since I got into it a lot later in life than what you did, there's a lot of things that sort of compound and I sort of stuck away in the back of my head and like, I'm fine. And then when you're around all your other friends and your other colleagues, you sort of, I'm fine. I'm good. You're embarrassed to admit that you're not good. And I think that's a lot that happens in the public safety realm. Is a lot of people keep stuff pent up, and that's going to lead to a lot worse stuff if you don't let it out. You need to talk to people about it.
Yeah, I think that's why this podcast is so important, to kind of show, like, who cares? Like, let's talk about it. Let's talk it out. I think, I pride our marriage. I'm proud of us. I think we have tremendous communication. We have that ability to read each other without even having to speak words. I can look at you and know what day you had and know what we have to talk about. And, you do the same with me. We read each other like open books, but we're also not afraid to communicate, like, hey, I had something go on today. It's really bugging me. Like, I just need a little extra special tonight, or we need to talk it out for a couple minutes. But
we do. Best friends, and it's pretty rare these days. I can be myself with you, and that's the important thing. Not everyone has that. Not everyone has that.
And I think maybe it's that that's why we feel like spreading that and talking about it and let people know you're not alone. Like, this is normal. We see stuff that people shouldn't see. I saw it at a young age, which, right or wrong, at 15 years old on an ambulance as third person, like, you see a lot and it makes you appreciate things. But I think it's important that you have that support system and know that you have people out there to talk to, and that it's okay to talk to people. It's okay to go get help. It's okay to feel not okay. Like,
yeah.
So even if this podcast just gets to one person and it helps that one person, then
well worth it.
Heck yeah.
Well worth it. I think it's much needed. I think, like you said, as we've seen the outpouring of, once I posted this, I'm like, I want to start a podcast. And I've been contacted by so many people that are like, I think people maybe have said for like, I don't want to talk about this. Then there it is. Here's an opportunity. And I think that's what we're going to do. We already have a few other interviews lined up. This is just our introduction.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this lineup. I mean, we have a power pack of people that have made a difference already and are continuing to make a difference. And there's a nonprofit group that reached out to you that help, I think, fallen police officers and helps their families from suicide.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many good things out there. So this will spread like wildfire, we hope. And
we can condense that all into one place and just set it out to the world, and hopefully it can take off and people could be like, well, we can be on this podcast and give our stories.
Yeah.
You're not being judged.
Yeah, or even if they just go on and click links, we're going to continue to add links to help. And like we said, like resources and numbers that you can call. Just, you don't have to listen. Just go to the link. And
Yeah, that's it.
yeah. But I think it's important for people to get to know us and how we handle it in our house. Like I said, I really pride our communication. And
Yeah.
I think, I want to say, we figured it out with each other. Like we figured out what each other needs to get through it. And yeah, I'm excited to kind of teach our techniques and how we handle
How
things.
we cope with it.
Yeah.
And I think the important thing is you can't, like, if there's a problem and sort of shimmy around it, you have to be able to go straight through it and be like, we made it through it. We talked through it. We talked it out. And we figured out our way of doing it, you know? So what's next? What do you think we want to discuss here?
Well, I think, like you said, your PTSD and stress, came kind of during your calls. You would come home and it would kind of hit you, and we would talk about it, and it kind of like it built up, and you finally figured out what you needed to get you better. And
The lucky thing is I had someone that actually understood the job because you were involved in that type of job. So I think a lot of our responders, they don't have someone that can come home and talk to and be able to vent about things. And even if they did, that person might not understand what we actually saw or what we did.
Yeah, I think even we have that understanding for each other because we were both in public safety at some point in our lives. I think if their spouses weren't, that's still okay. You might not fully understand like the stress or like why they keep coming back, or like that call was a month ago. I think the most important thing that we do, we just give that full attention to each other when it's needed. We read each other. We really care about how each other's day was. We put down the cell phones, turn the TV off.
We're present. We're present.
We talk about it, and just have that clear, open communication. And anyone can do that. You don't have to have that public safety background. So I think that's a big key point.
Yeah,
is just
absolutely.
Be present.
Be present.
Be aware. Be there. Just be there for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think while yours kind of hit you, while you're in public safety, and you still are in public safety, but mine kind of hit me later in life, after you got sick.
You want to dive into the biggie?
Yeah.
Stuff. It's tough, but this is what we've done. We've always talked about it. And I think how you dealt with it and how you finally figured out what was actually happening.
Yeah. Try not to cry again.
We'll get through it.
Yeah.
We'll get through it. So started what? 2019, April-ish?
2020.
2020.
2020. Yep.
I tried to block it out. I just started my new job as a dispatcher. I wasn't even through my probation period of it, I don't believe. And I woke up one morning, I just felt like I had the flu. And it was the worst flu I think I've ever had. I just felt like I had the flu. And the funny thing is, I remember doing a telemedicine report with the doctor, and he prescribed me like Theraflu or something just because I was sick.
Yeah.
Just did not feel good. So I woke up. The first few nights, like being sick, and I went in to use the restroom, and we're gonna personal. I mean, that's what this is about. Went in to use the restroom, and I would come back into the bedroom and lay down. And after the fact, my wife, she's like, you're not peeing. Like, you weren't peeing. I'm like, what? And I was like, I was delusional. Like, I just felt sick. I was febrile and just sick. Then the following morning, I woke up. I had to go to the bathroom again. And I walk out of our bedroom and into the hallway and to the door to the bathroom. My son's using the restroom, and I fell to the floor, and I don't remember really what happened. I kind of came to, and my wife's there, and I hear my son cry, and I was soaked, and I peed all over the floor. Looking back after it, I had a neurogenic bladder, and my bladder was full, and I fell, and it just all released after like 3 or 4 days of not peeing, because and the disease I have is called Guillain-Barré syndrome, and it's an ascending polyneuropathy that affects, it basically eats the myelin off your nerves, starts at your feet and works up, and it made it to my bladder at that time. So my wife's there cleaning me up. She's a freaking saint for doing it. She's like, I'm calling the ambulance. I'm like, no, you're not, because we live in our coverage area where I worked or previously worked as an EMT. So I'm like, nope. And somehow she got me down like 15 steps, cleaned up out the door, and got me to the emergency room. That's where it was a fight with the ER, because they wanted to release me.
Yeah, so the COVID was just starting, and you just saw everyone was scared there, and the lady kept telling me, he'll be safer at home, and I said, absolutely not. Like, he collapsed in our hallway, he's not okay. So she said that she would keep you one night, but she wanted to get you out of there before COVID started. You kind of continued just to decline. 2 days later, I came in to visit you, and they escorted me out. Security escorted me out, and they said, you have to leave the building, you can't come back in. They thought that you were patient zero for COVID. Turns out you weren't.
I didn't even have COVID.
No, you didn't have COVID. But as soon as your test results came back that says that you didn't have COVID, they shut down all the hospitals. So while you were confused in bed, not knowing what was going on, we couldn't come there to see you or
And I had
you.
no clue. I had no clue really what COVID was. I was in this bubble. You were outside in the real world handling everything.
Yeah, I remember a month and a half later when you were finally understanding what I was saying to you. I remember I'm like, like it's like those movies, those zombie movies that like somebody wakes up in the bed and they're like
21 days.
what happened? You're like,
21
yeah.
weeks later
Yeah.
or whatever. Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, no one's outside. I said, nobody gets their groceries delivered. Nope.
And I had no clue.
Yeah.
No clue. I had no clue what was going on. And I remember waking up, I guess it was maybe the second day I was in there, and I couldn't move. Like, it was odd. Like, I couldn't move my legs real well. I could sort of move them, but not really. I was just super weak. And I pissed all over the floor. Like, I sat at the edge of the bed because I wanted to, like, sit up, and just, it was horrible. It was horrible. Me being a provider, a pre-hospital provider, and me becoming a patient, it was tough. It was tough. And then I didn't know, I think when you came in to see me, you said I was breathing weird. Because I think they said after they diagnosed me with the Guillain-Barré syndrome, it made it all the way up to my diaphragm and my breathing. A lot of people with Guillain-Barré, they end up being trachs and vented.
Yeah, I think you're 1 or 2 days away.
I would have been, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky enough I didn't get a trach. That would have been horrible. Because then it was the beginning of the nightmare. So they didn't let you in to see me.
Yeah,
You're going to have to sort of tell everyone, because I don't know what was going on outside.
absolutely.
What's going on.
Yeah, so once they figured out what it was, like I said, the hospitals were already closed, so they moved you up to a room, and they started that was like the IV. It's an IV treatment.
IVIF.
But they did tell me it's going to get worse before it gets better, because it takes time to kick in. As your Guillain-Barré is continuing to go up your body, you're paralyzed. I mean, you couldn't move. You're very confused still, and you had Farinalius, and then a couple weeks later, 2 weeks later, you threw a major PE.
Yeah.
And that's where it can.
That's where it was the worst.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I'll elaborate on it. I remember waking up out of a dead sleep. All these nights leading up to this, I don't know the timeline, honest. Maybe was it 2 weeks after I was in there?
Yeah.
Somewhere on there. And I would be laid in bed, and they gave me a NG tube, because they're like, no more drinking, no more eating. We're going to give you a feeding tube because my insides stopped working.
Mhm.
Like I couldn't digest food. So they're just like, you can't even have water. We're going to give you IVs or the fluid bags of nutrients. And I'm going to admit to this now, but I had ice packs because I was so overheated all the time. I melted ice packs I would drink because when I wasn't allowed to drink them. I'm like, yeah, I'm all right. I feel a little bit better. And then I don't know how many nights later I woke up. It was during the day, but I woke up out of a complete sleep, couldn't breathe. I'm like, I scream. I'm like, I can't breathe. And I remember one of the nurses or the techs rolling in and I was out. Next thing I remember is waking up and I had a room full of doctors and there's probably 20 people in there. And they explained to me, Mr. Heaney, you threw a saddle PE. It's one of the largest PEs that we've ever seen. So a saddle PE, it lays over the brachial arch over both lungs through the arteries. And that's what I threw. I threw a huge PE. I'm on blood thinners for the rest of my life now. So that's fun. But they rushed me into emergency surgery where they put a vena cava filter. So they went in through my neck and all the way. And so it looks like a metal whisk that's open-ended. So it basically catches clots and lets them dissolve. But I remember being on the table in the surgery right before they started. And the anesthetist is up by my head and he's like, keep breathing. I'm like, I can't breathe. And when they say, like, it feels like an elephant is sitting on your chest, it felt like an elephant was sitting on my chest. I couldn't breathe. And they just said they somehow connected a heparin shower and they were just thinning my blood. And next thing you know, I wake up after the surgery in intensive care, hooked up to all kinds of craziness. And I think that's when they told you, they're like, he's either going to go this way or he's going to go this way. And that's kind of all I remember, maybe for the next 48 hours. And what were they telling you?
Yeah, I mean, I would constantly call in probably every hour just to see if you're still breathing and what the status was. I did get to sneak in for 3 minutes and see.
The crazy thing, I remember laying there and
You got it.
I got it. I remember laying there. One of my old supervisors' wife worked at the hospital, and I saw her outside the room there, and I saw you. I'm like, I'm dead. This isn't real. Like, because it felt like a dream. I had no clue. And I saw you, and I think I passed out again. Next thing I know, you're standing beside me, holding my hand. And I thought that was it. I thought that was it.
It was rough times.
It was rough. It was rough.
But luckily,
Sorry, guys.
luckily, like, I don't know, like 3 days after that, I get a phone call and it's like, hey, babe. I'm like, what the hell?
Wasn't it? It was a FaceTime.
Yeah,
Like,
you're
like
just,
nothing had
like,
freaking
nothing
happened.
happened. Like, you just,
Nothing
like, went to the
happened.
grocery store. And I'm like, what are you doing? And you're like, I feel great. Like, great.
Luckily, I took the turn for where I needed to go. I didn't go
Yeah.
the opposite way. I went the good way.
But yeah, I mean, then, you went to rehab after and had to learn how to walk. We still
Yeah.
couldn't see you.
Yeah.
But, about, I don't know, I want to say it was like 2.5 months or something, 2 months, that we didn't get to see you, and bringing you home was the best thing. But that's whenever I kind of learned what PTSD was after that, after you came home. And,
Oof.
yeah,
We had some nights for
we
sure.
did, for sure. And I think, while I felt invincible when I was young and didn't really have calls stick with me, it must have just piled up, and then this was the cherry on top that really got me. While it's easier and comes less and less, it's definitely don't forget that feeling. And
I'm glad now those are very few and far between.
yeah, I mean, it would hit us daily, you know, then you go to weekly, then monthly, and then now it's just every once in a while, but
We know what it is.
yeah. And we're like, you know,
We know what it
come up
is.
a little bit, but yeah, I think I think that's really was my turning point in learning about PTSD and the stress. And I think while you were gone, I mean, the outpouring of love and calls and texts and notes, and
People that you didn't even know.
yeah, Ross police officer's wife reached out to me and just
Yeah.
it was pretty cool because she had no idea who I was.
We have some good people around us. I think
Yeah.
that's one of the
Man, this has
biggest.
turned into a cry.
It's all right.
Yeah,
It's good.
But,
This is therapy right here. This is the whole point of it.
yeah,
You know?
but I really think that whenever I realized that what was going on, I was getting really into puzzles, and I don't know, I kind of have that quick brain already,
No, you
and like
do.
to keep myself busy.
She
but
keeps
I-
me on my toes.
But I think you and Logan one night were sitting in the living room, and I was sitting at the table doing a puzzle. And I flipped the puzzle upside down because I didn't want to see the picture, and I was putting the puzzle together, just made it so brain numbing. And I think that's when it kind of clicked. Like, I'm blocking my brain, like
Yeah.
trying not to realize what's going on around me. Like, why am I feeling that way? So I think I remember I was sitting right over here, and I just started crying, and you came over, and I said, I think I'm blocking myself from you. Like,
You didn't want to go through basically.
I was afraid to kind of like let those happy feelings back in. So I was just trying to tire my brain out constantly. And
Yeah.
once I realized that's what it was, you know, we dealt with it pretty well and just talked it out, and my classes are fogged.
That's what it's about.
But yeah, that's us.
It is. It's us in a nutshell,
That's
guys.
us in a nutshell.
We're I'm so lucky to have my wife. You know, I remember some of the funny things when I was in patient rehab. I was in the wheelchair, and I'm like, why do I have to have the seat alarm on here? My nurses were super cool. Like everyone, and I would love to. I'm not going to mention people's names. I had an awesome group of nurses and therapists when I was in the hospital. Luckily, Britt knew. Was she the woman there? Was the director of the floor or whatever?
Yeah, of rehab.
Yeah. So I think it made that probably go a little more smooth. But I remember I was on the phone with her, and I'm like, I'm unplugging my seat alarm. Screw this thing. Like I'm like just rolling around. I was rolling down the hallway, and then into my therapy room. And then I remember my one therapist taking the video of me taking my first steps.
Yep.
That was crazy. But I was doing all these crazy, like my hands were actually, I got paralyzed all the way up to my chest, but lost a lot of strength in my hands. So like picking things up, like even this mouse, had to pick them up like this. So all kinds of real dexterity, a lot of dexterity and everything had to be relearned. But I remember I was pretty close. They were giving me, my doctor came in, he's like, you need to be able to pee on your own, not be cast. And then there's a few other things that he was like, you need to get this done before we can release you. But I remember Britt, my son Logan, how old was Logan at the time?
It was kindergarten.
He was in kindergarten. So all this happened when he was that age. It was a tough age. Like you said, there's something on it. But we figured out what room I was in, and I could look out the window, and they would come every day with a sign and find me in the window with hold up a sign for me. And I was like, I need to get out of here. I need to be with my family.
Yeah, I think that was really the start of the healing for us. We could see each other through the window,
Yes.
got to have that communication, even if it was through giant signs and just silly sayings. But
Yeah.
I think that's really where things started to come together and when we started our new journey in life.
New journey. So there was a lot of challenges on the way home,
Yeah.
once I got home, like you said, the puzzles with you, and then the night terrors for me, just there was the PTSD and just waking up just all and I'm like, I was so scared to die. I mean, I think anyone's gonna be scared to die, but in the healing and like how I dealt with it, it got better, gradually got better, and I figured out some good healthy outlets, to help myself through it. A lot of music. I'm a huge music person, as she knows. I'm always playing music. A lot of deck sitting, a lot of sitting out on the deck.
Yeah, I mean, we even had to figure out for our son what would help him because he was young. He was in kindergarten. He just had school taken away from him because of COVID, and then not sure why daddy's not home. So, we explained it to him in the age-appropriate way. And we thought, oh, yeah, well, we protected him. Like, he's okay. But we started to learn that, no, like, this caused a lot in him. And he battled anxiety. And he's in 5th grade now, but I'm really proud of him because he's come a long way with that anxiety. I mean, he's figured it out. He really has at a young age to figure out how to deal with to certain situations. And when he starts feeling that anxiousness, he talks himself and brings himself through it. And I attribute a lot of it to us talking to him, but also to him. He plays baseball and he's not afraid. Yeah, he's not afraid to get out there, do new things. And I remember the one day taking him to practice, and he was playing for a different team that year. And he didn't know one kid on that team. But I watched our son walk down there like he knew these kids forever and just have a conversation. And that's when it kind of hit me. I'm like, man, he's getting this. Like he's overcoming that anxiety, and he's really learning how to deal with it. And like you said, he plays airsoft, and it's pretty cool because he plays airsoft with some of our close public safety family. They have kids now, and so it's cool to see that.
See them, see it extend out to our kids.
But that helped him tremendously too, like taking leads in different games, and he was nervous to play at first, and now he loves it. But he's really grown up, and
it's crazy. We have an 11-year-old, almost 12-year-old.
Yeah.
Where's the time gone?
Yeah, but I'm proud. I think he's learned because, we communicate and we've kept a close eye on him and, talk to his pediatrician. His pediatrician's like, when he's ready to talk about it, he will, but just keep giving him that option. And we looked into therapy for him, but he's never said he didn't want to go. He didn't feel comfortable. We tried to reassure him, like, that's a normal thing. You can do this, but just with him getting into sports and growing up a little bit, like he's there, like he's learned how to deal with it. And while we'll continue to keep a close eye and be open with him about it,
be present with our son. That's it. That's important for especially a little boy to have dad around.
Yeah, but I think with us, our marriage, despite the immense strain that public safety gives, and when you're sick and dealing with all that, we just strengthened our marriage and our love and our mental health through communication. The more we openly talk about our feelings, the better we are, and we support each other, and we learn to be patient and compassionate with each other.
You're my best friend.
Yeah.
You're my best friend.
Understanding no cool struggles and that they can strike unexpectedly and hit you at any time, and we learn that we can lean on each other and deal with it, and everyone can. You have that support system. So I think moving forward, I believe the key to overcoming trauma and PTSD, especially for those in public safety, lies with breaking down that barrier and that stigma. And I'm very proud of you for wanting to start this podcast.
It's important.
I
think this is your health in general is wealth.
Yeah.
And specifically your mental health, because it's tough. It's a tough world.
Yeah.
It's a lot different than when I grew up. We have so much going on in the world right now. And kids deal with a lot more than I did,
Yeah.
I
think you really can't heal unless you talk. And we can't help each other unless we listen to each other.
That's the
And be
sticking
present.
point. That is the sticking point. You have to talk. You have to have good communication.
Yeah.
And I
But-
think we have the best. I think we have the best.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see where this podcast goes. I'm excited for the next, lineup of people, and
We
much-
have some cool people coming on. Now, he's a colleague of mine, Daniel Schultz. He's a 911 dispatcher. He's also a firefighter, and I believe still an EMT. He's going to be my first official interviewee. So we have that to look forward to. He has a lot to offer us for the podcast, and I think to everyone else.
Yeah, you have it's that specializes in PTSD,
Yep, psychologist
Coming
is going
up.
to be coming on. He's very excited.
and then you have a police officer that him and his wife started a nonprofit organization
That's
supporting,
correct.
I believe, police family, right? And
These families like
that lost-
suicide.
yeah, that
for
lost
police
their-
officers.
their loved ones to suicide. So, I'm excited. I'm
very
excited for the
exciting.
future of this. I'm excited to talk to people. I'm excited to see where this goes. And like we said, if all this just helps one person, then
Yep.
it's worth it.
It's absolutely worth it because I think this is very important. It's very, very important. It's super important to me. It's super important to you. And I think we can offer that to everyone else to have a good place to come on, to vent it out, and some good resources for everyone else. I hopefully people listen.
Yeah.
I
Cool.
think this is a good jump off for everyone. I think it's a good introduction for you guys to meet myself and my wife.
And our rambles and our cries.
Yeah, it's tough, but it's okay to be vulnerable, especially being a dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like a lot of guys, we have this beat on the chest sort of attitude that we're okay, but we're not okay. There's a lot of people that aren't okay, but we'll be okay. You know, we can try to help people, and I think that's what the main focus of our mission. You'll see the mission statement here. At the beginning of this podcast, so I'll be letting everyone know that our mission statement is very important. So,
Next time.
till next time, guys, we really appreciate you. Thank you so much. This is The Weight We Carry. My name is Bart Heaney. This is my wife, Brittany Heaney. Rock and roll. Let's go, baby.
We got it.
Oh, yeah.
Peace.
Shit.